we're going to be talking about a really fundamental shift in business strategy. It's this idea that treating security as a core feature from day one, instead of a frantic fix on day 100, isn't just good IT practice, it's actually a massive competitive advantage. Okay, so let's just dive right in by looking at the real-world consequences when security is an afterthought. Some recent, very high-profile events have brought the incredible cost of getting this wrong into painfully sharp focus.
To really get a handle on the stakes for any business leader, you have to look past all the abstract risk reports and see the real, tangible impact an attack can have on a household name.
The speed of the impact here is what's just truly staggering. For Marks & Spencer, the financial fallout from a ransomware attack, where criminals lock up your data and demand a huge payment, it was massive. It wiped out £300 million in market value almost overnight. Now, that is not some theoretical risk on a spreadsheet. That is a direct, painful hit to the bottom line.
But here's the thing. This wasn't just some isolated incident affecting one company. It was actually part of a much wider digital crime spree that hammered some of the UK's biggest and most trusted brands. I mean, look at this. It paints a picture of just widespread disruption. At Jaguar Land Rover, production lines literally ground to a halt, costing them a staggering £1.7 billion in lost revenue. The co-op faced empty shelves because their supply chain IT got hit. Even Heathrow Airport saw travel chaos, not from a direct attack on them, but through a vulnerability in one of their software suppliers. The ripple effects are just enormous and totally unpredictable.
Just think about it for a second. When a vulnerability is discovered late in the game, you're not just fixing a little bit of code. You're paying for incredibly expensive rework. You're pulling your best teams off of important revenue-generating projects to do emergency patching. You're risking massive operational disruptions, catastrophic damage to your reputation if a breach happens, and oh yeah, potentially millions in regulatory fines. This isn't a tech problem, it's a financial nightmare.
When you find a fundamental security flaw after everything has already been designed and built, fixing it is exponentially more expensive, way more time-consuming, and just incredibly disruptive to the business. Think about it this way. You would never, ever build a 100-story skyscraper and only then try to figure out where to cram in the fire sprinklers and the emergency exits. It's just wildly inefficient, it's ridiculously expensive, and the result is never going to be as effective as it needed to be. Well, that's bolt-on security in a nutshell.
But what if there was a totally different way to do things? Well, there is. It just requires a pretty fundamental shift in how we think about building, well, anything, from a new app to a whole business process. It's all about putting security right there in the initial blueprint. And this right here is the core idea. Secure by design. It's the simple principle that security can't be an add-on. It has to be woven into the very fabric of a project from day one. It becomes a non-negotiable part of the design process itself. This really represents a crucial change in mindset. For way too long, security has been seen as the department of no, the gatekeeper that just slows down innovation. Well, this principle completely flips that script. When security is part of the design from the start, it actually enables the business to move faster and safer. It allows you to innovate with real confidence. Let's take a look at how it creates a completely different way of operating. And this chart just lays it out perfectly. The old way is all reactive. You wait for a fire, then you scramble to put it out. Secure by design is proactive. Instead of those expensive, panicked patches, you have a cost-effective design from the get-go. Security transforms from that dreaded gatekeeper into a true business enabler. And maybe most importantly, you're managing risk early on when it's cheap and easy to fix, not late in the game when it's a full-blown crisis.
Secure by Design embeds security considerations right at the start, back in the planning and design phases. This makes the entire development process more resilient, way more efficient, and far, far more predictable.
Okay, so we've established it's a smarter way to work. But as a leader, you've got to be asking, what's the tangible return here? What is the real business payoff for doing all this? First and foremost, it's about the money. It is exponentially cheaper to fix a security flaw in the design phase than it is to fix it once it's live in production. By avoiding all those emergency patches and expensive rework cycles we talked about, you directly lower your total cost of ownership. It's a huge long-term win for the budget. But beyond the finances, there's a currency that's even more valuable, and that's trust. Especially today, with all the sensitive data we handle, customer trust is absolutely non-negotiable. Building securely from the ground up is one of the most powerful things you can do to protect that trust, and, by extension, your entire brand reputation.
And the financial impact? I mean, it's undeniable. Secure by Design transforms that expensive, unpredictable security firefighting into planned, manageable, and significantly lower costs over the entire life cycle of a product.
So the key takeaway here is that SBD moves your entire organization from a defensive, reactive posture to a proactive strategy. It's not just about preventing the next 300 million pound loss. It's about building a more resilient, trustworthy, and ultimately a more valuable business.
And finally, it keeps you on the right side of the law. Let's be honest, regulations around data privacy and security are only getting tougher. Designing for compliance from the outset isn't just a good idea, it's a critical defense against massive, debilitating fines and legal trouble. So when you put it all together, the value proposition becomes crystal clear. This isn't just about preventing bad things from happening. It's about proactively building a stronger, more resilient, and more trustworthy business. It's about better cost control, smarter risk management, easier compliance, and above all, protecting that vital trust you have with your customers.
So, the big question is, how can leadership actually embed this principle? How do you make security a real, integral part of your organization's DNA?
Well, drawing from UK government and industry best practices, there are 4 really clear actions for leadership. First, assign senior ownership. Security needs a champion at the top, someone who's accountable. Second, mandate early security reviews before projects even get the green light. Third, you've got to foster genuine collaboration. Get your business, tech, and security teams talking from day one. And finally, adopt a risk-driven approach that's actually tailored to your specific business reality.
This really requires a huge cultural shift. Security can't be seen as the Department of No anymore. Instead, it has to be viewed and funded as a core enabler that actually helps the business achieve its objectives safely and sustainably.
Ultimately, the choice every leader faces is this. Are you intentionally designing for resilience, building your future on a solid foundation of security? Or are you simply leaving it all to chance, just waiting to react to the next inevitable attack? The answer to that question will define your business's future.